Hey guys, we're back for another video, and it's another tutorial on thermal expansion, but in this one we're going to be going more in depth on the dynamos than we did last time, and we're going to be looking at some good power generation to use with these. So, first we're going to start off with the steam dynamo. Now, this is your average furnace fuel burning dynamo. It's probably going to be the first one you get, and it just burns like any furnace fuel, like wood, coal, anything like that. There are a lot of ways to automate it, and it can be used with some augments, such as turbine conversion for it to it burns steam produced from another dynamo for power, and this converts one into steam boiler, which produces steam. So if you have two dynamos with each with these, you can make some good power. And next is the magmatic dynamo. This one burns lava or blazing pyrotheum, or if you're using industrial craft, it can burn hot coolant or pehoho lava. And this one is useful in one way, but it doesn't have that many applications. So you're probably only going to use it with lava. There's better ways to use this, as you'll see later. And here the compression dynamo. This is like the steam dynamo, except it burns liquid. So like refined fuel, biogas if you're playing with industrial craft, hooch for Ender.io, seed oil. There's a lot of different things, like all of this. And next we have the reactant dynamo. So this is an interesting dynamo. It burns a liquid reactant with a solid reactant. So there's kind of two tiers of this. There's elemental and normal. So the normal liquids are destabilized redstone and energized glowstone. Those are only two normal liquids. And each of them can react with gas tier, sugar. Energized glowstone will produce more power though. They can react with gas tier, sugar, blaze powder, that's not, nether wart, and I think that's it. And gunpowder, sorry. So you can see that energized glowstone is slightly better, but destabilized redstone is easier to get. So, and then there's elemental, which is basically, you can see pyrotheum and cryotheum produces 400,000. That's a lot more, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. There are ways to use the normal, but it's not as good as this. And you can also you can reverse it. You can have liquid pyrotheum, blazing pyrotheum it's called, and cryotheum dust. And you can also have, as you can see here, and there's also aerotheum and petrotheum. So you can reverse those, of course, like you can see it right here. And yeah. And then there's enervation dynamo. This one's not as useful. I don't think it's in any of the power setups today. Basically, it extracts energy from things like redstone 64,000, a block of redstone 640,000. But if we look here, we can see that it can extract energy from energy cells, which is nice, but it's not really automatable unless you have an automatic miner for redstone, because all of this is just like stuff from other mods as well can be extracted in here, like mechanism, and you can get stuff out of like capacitors if you want. But it's not really, it's nice to have just in case you have an extra capacitor you want to empty some power out of, but it's not really worth it to try to automate this. And the last one is the numismatic dynamo, and this is kind of weird because it does coins. And you might ask, what are coins? Basically, coins are metals, and then you can put them in a compactor with the augment numismatic press, and it makes one ingot into 3 coins. And you can see these coins burn for a decent amount. And the thing about these is it's kind of hard to automate metals unless you have like a void ore miner from environmental tech, or like a digital miner, but that's not really automated because it will run out eventually. And it can also do emeralds defaultly, like in the default without this augment, and this augment lets it do a bunch of gems, but it can only do gems. It can't do any of the coins. So like this stuff, diamond produces a lot, and you can make a bunch of gemstones, like prismarine even, and you can still do emeralds, but you could already do them. So that's all the dynamos. So the first thing we're going to look at is a very simple one. Now, basically, what happens here is it turns one netherrack into 60,000. That's a lot. So basically how this works is let me just upgrade this to resonant and put the lava augment in it, I think. I do not know what it's called. Magma crucible. It's an augment that lets it connectively. If I can type, you can just put this in and it'll make it much faster. So if you were to grab this much netherrack, you grab one and put it in there. We just need to supply it with power. Then it will start burning it. And you can see it uses a good amount. Sorry about that. It uses a good amount of, let me just turn this out quickly to do not disturb so I don't get messages. Of course. Okay, well, basically, you can see it uses 60,000 RF and it converts it to lava. And then that puts that in there. But the thing is, this produces 120,000 RF. So basically, it doubles your power. Like, that's pretty good. And then you can see it going back in here. It's going to fill up. But if you put like a whole stack in there, you just need to speed up this thing because you can see it's not keeping up. The magma crucible, it'll eventually run out of power. But yeah, that's a very good way to get power. And it's very like compact as well. So you can have like a bunch of these running at the same time. You just need to supply it with netherrack, which isn't that hard. But it's not a renewable resource, which is the only bad thing. So the next one we're going to look at is the one I'm using in my server that I usually play on. And this is the arboreal extractor method. So basically how it works is you have a 2x2 spruce tree, or 1x1. It's just the 2x2 is better. You put 8 arboreal extractors down in all of these places right next to the wood. There can only be 8 though. So basically those make resin, and then this goes in here. This takes that resin, 200 millibuckets, makes it into 100 millibuckets of tree oil, and has a 50% chance to produce rosin. The rosin, if it gets taken, is piped into here, and this burns it. And there's just a little coolant setup. I have to get these 2 coolants. And also, what this will do is when you have so the tree oil is the consistent output, so that's the main power source. That goes into here. Now, you can do it this way. This is the more later game setup. It's still not that late game. It's like medium game, mid game. You basically put it in here. This burns it. But in the mid game setup, you have a boiler conversion, which makes this produce steam instead of RF. And then this, you have a turbine conversion and a steam dynamo. And that makes it so it burns steam for RF, which basically almost doubles your production. So you want to get this out as soon as possible. But if you weren't ready for that yet, you would just have the compression dynamo burn the tree oil and go straight into this. Okay, so let's quickly see this in action. You'll know these are working. You can see that there's a little yellow thing here. That'll be gray of this, but they're working. You can get a lot of resin. And then this thing, I'm just going to give it some power. It takes a little bit, but eventually what it will do is it will produce tree oil and maybe rosin. It did it that time. So you can see this is making that, and this is getting steam, but it's also making RF with it, 160 RF a tick. And this will be pretty consistent. You can experiment with the balance of extractors and fractionate stills. I think this one's pretty good, pretty efficient. It doesn't really have this resting very often. And these are almost consistently have fuel. Not quite consistently, but almost. And yeah, you can see that. It's getting a lot of power. So yeah, that one's really good. It's infinitely renewable. You don't have to do anything. You just have to let it sit, which which is very nice. It has a really good renewable power source, especially for early game even. And yeah, so next one is, let's not do that one. That one's kind of stupid. Let's do this one. So we're going to be going with the compression dynamo in this setup. So basically, what happens is you get 4 coal. That's the minimum amount required to run this for any amount of power. I'm just powering it with this just to show you guys. And basically, you put that coal in the pulverizer, which will pulverize it into 4 pulverized coal. That goes into here, and each one makes 100 millibuckets. So that's 400 millibuckets of liquefacted coal. That's what it's called. And then all that goes into this, which makes 200 millibuckets. It takes 200 millibuckets of this and makes 100 millibuckets of this. So 400 millibuckets is going to get 200 millibuckets. And it also has a side chance of producing, I think it's some sort of furnace fuel. I can't remember what. It's like a black ball. And it goes into there, produces some power. These two both have a chance. So it makes 200 naphtha. That's what it's called. And let me just set it today. And then that 200 millibuckets goes into here. Now that makes 100 millibuckets of refined fuel and also a chance of producing that same thing. And that will go into here and it'll burn it. So we can see it in action here. You can see this going. They don't have to be resonant, obviously, but I just do that because it's faster. So this is all done. This is all done. It's just waiting on this thing. This thing has 100 millibuckets, and that thing's going to go and quickly make 100 millibuckets of that. And you can see that is going to burn, and you can see 1,500,000 for 1,000. So if we divide that by 100, or by 10, sorry, we'll get 150,000. From 4 pieces of coal, you get 150,000 RF, which is pretty good. And we get a little bonus from here. It doesn't look like we got any that time. And yeah, there is a little bit left over. It's kind of weird like that, but should eventually do that. So this thing's not even going to be able to store all that. So if we were to put this thing here, and obviously all of these can be upgraded with fuel catalyzers. This is very good because it's more energy per fuel. So you want to put this in all your things. And it's stackable, so you can have multiple. Like, you can have multiple of these, and they will do something. So that's going to upgrade it a lot. You can also use that on that to make so you get even more. You can see this thing's still burning. This thing is filled up because it's the backup. But yeah, that's a pretty good way. You can see we got even more. I don't know what it's doing. I think it's lagging a little bit. Yeah, we got 150,000. That's because these weren't there when we started burning it. But if they were, we would have gotten more than that. And this was just to increase the storage, so you could see. It also increased the output, but it also increases storage. That's why I had it there. So next one is this weird little setup here. So this is for the numismatic dynamo, and this is production of gold coins. And you might be going, how do you get gold coins? Well, you can get zombie pigment, and then they drop gold nuggets and gold ingots. So how this works is, the system isn't perfect. I just built it. I just designed it myself, and I don't think it works very well, but it should get the job done. So if we were to connect this, it would, I'm not going to do it yet because I just want to explain it first. This thing, that doesn't require power, would capture them, and it would start piping them into this thing, which is this centrifugal separator, and it has this, which lets it process morbs, which basically kills them. So that's a good way to kill mobs cheaply, and that just makes it go faster, if you're wondering. So that kills them, and there's obviously 3 jobs. There's gold ingots, which are pretty rare, gold nuggets, which are common, and rotten flesh, which is also common. And you also get XP. So the XP is outputted to the left, which just goes into a portable tank. You can use it however you want. You can repair stuff with mending. You can combine it with other stuff in a fluid transposer to make like other items, but I just have it in a tank for now. So the gold nuggets are gonna go into here. You can, if you want this to be better, because it's kind of finicky right now, you can move them further away and have filters with item decks, because it's not perfect where things go. I just have all these and hope that they will find the right outputs, but they don't always do that. Sometimes rotten flesh goes in here, but so far what you're going to want is the gold nuggets are going to go in here. The sequential fabricator, it's an auto crafter. And when you have 9 of them, they're going to be crafted into gold ingot, and you can see they're going to be sent up the top. This compactor with the augment numismatic press, which lets it create coins. It can't create plates though. So one of those is going to be 3 coins. Now the gold ingots should go up here. I have a filter. Oh, that's blacklist. I should whitelist that. And I have a filter. I have gold ingots in there, so only gold ingots can get in through that. And that would just make it so the gold ingots don't go up here and get like in a block. And there's not really any use for the rotten flesh as far as I know in thermal expansion, for power at least. But if you're using another mod like mechanism, you can pipe it out the back into this thing. It'll crush it into biofuel, and this thing, biogenerator, will make power. So let's turn this on for 1 cycle, and that should spawn them. And you can see they got contained. I lied because it's peaceful. Okay. It keeps raining. That's really annoying. But okay. So now you can see that they will get captured. And one of them got piped up into here. A couple of them are going in. You can see this thing's gotten some rotten flesh. This is bad as well. Like, that's why. So you can see that crushed, and this is gonna make, I think, like 30,000 RF. And this 1 gold nugget was taken. Like, it's not as good as killing the mobs yourself. Like, it won't always do that. So I'm gonna go in for another spawn until we get enough gold nuggets. Maybe 2 more. Now won't capture them all because this thing's too slow. So there's still 1. I don't know where they're going. So we got some more biofuel, or some more rotten flesh. There's 2 gold nuggets now. We're getting really unlucky with the gold nuggets, to be honest. So spawned, and then they got captured. Now, where are the gold nuggets? So if this goes too fast, there will be a bottleneck. It won't be able to process them all in time. So we have 4 now. We haven't gotten any gold ingots yet, but that's to expect because they're pretty rare drop. So we can attach this again. It wouldn't be going this fast if you were powering it with this thing. If you were powering it with that, it would be going slower, so it'd be good. And basically, this won't create much power. It's mostly used for the liquid XP, but this can be used. If you had like an actual zombie pigman farm like above the nether floor, like in vanilla, this would be a lot cheaper to maintain because this takes a lot of power. This is like the main power consumer of the system right here. And let's see if it's almost ready. We have 8 gold nuggets. So when we get 1 more, there we go. I saw we got 1 more. Okay, so it crafted it, and that's going in there, and boom, 3 coins. So each coin is going to make 40,000, so it's going to make 120,000 in total. It's not the best power generation, but it would be much better if you didn't have to power this. So that is a little bit complicated, but it would be the best way that I could find to power this with coins. You could also make an iron farm, which would probably be better, but yeah, this is like the machine way to do it. And you can use everything. Like, basically in tech mods, you don't really want to let anything that you're getting a lot of go to waste. Like, just make as much as you can. So next one is another spawner one. This one's a little more complicated, and this is going to be with the reactant dynamo. So we're going to be utilizing elemental reactions. So this is a little bit more complicated. So it uses the same premise. It spawns blazes this time, and it'll capture them. I actually made this on my server, and it worked pretty well. It'll capture them. This one's more refined because I already had a lot of playing time with it. So it'll capture them, obviously, it'll go process them, and the XP goes into a tank, which is just a buffer. Then up here, where it does something that I'll explain in a little bit, the blaze rods, which is the only other drop. There's one other drop as well, there's sulfur. The blaze rods go into here, which makes blaze powder and sulfur as a chance. These two have chances of making sulfur. And the sulfur and blaze powder goes into this thing. And I haven't found a way of automating the redstone required to craft this. You could probably do it with like a miner or something. But for now, I've just put manually put redstone in there. Dang, these slimes are getting really annoying. Whatever. I'll just turn the music down for that. Even though they're off. Okay, apparently they're friendly creatures, even though they're clearly not, but whatever. So you can automate that pyrotheum. It'll craft pyrotheum. And then it'll put that into here. So now we just need the cryotheum. And how we get that is we have this glacial precipitator, which will take water from this aqueous accumulator. It'll freeze it into snowballs. And it makes too many of them. I haven't really found a way around that. So I've just had to blacklist them from here for now. Because it fills up all these slots and then nothing else can get in, which is a little bit annoying. And so basically, the XP, you can see you can do this, XP. You can also do Essence of Knowledge, which is a thermal expansions thing, which is what you get from this. Liquid XP is literally the same thing. It's from Ender.io. But let's go back here and just pretend this is Essence of Knowledge. You put it onto 2 snowballs, take 16,000 RF, and you get 1 blizz powder. So what you're going to do with that blizz powder is going to go back in here and in here. So then what it's going to do is it's going to craft cryotheum with that. Right? That's pretty cool. So then you're going to put that in a magma crucible, because basically how this works is you're going to get 100 millibuckets in one of these, right? But the thing is, if you melt one of these down, let me just find one. If you melt, let's say no, that's stupid. Okay, pyrotheum, you get 250 millibuckets. So one of these is essentially 2.5 reactions. The one that goes through the magma crucible. So you're obviously going to want the one that you produce less of to go in here. And that is cryotheum, because, yeah, you don't get this as fast because it's pretty slow. You could probably make it faster, but it'd still be slow with XP and everything. So this is definitely the one you want to put in the magma crucible. Then that gets output into there. So let's put this on for 1 spawn. And obviously this would work even better with an actual blaze spawner. So that's going to go in there. It's going to process it. It's going to get the XP. It's going to start doing that. That's going to go in there. It already did it, I think. That might have already... No. We didn't get a blaze rod from that first one. But we got some blizz powder. That should eventually go out. Like, it takes a little while. It's kind of weird. Like, it does eventually go in, I've found, but it doesn't go in immediately, like you can see there. And it probably already crafted it, yep. It's just taking a little bit. So then that'll melt down there. We didn't get any... Oh, we didn't get any sulfur from that. That's a little bit unlucky. Usually you do get sulfur. That's actually confusing. You always get sulfur, like you have too much of it. It's a 25% chance and we didn't get any. And then there's another chance in there. But let's run this one more time to see if we can't get any of that. So you can see this now has 1,000 millibucks of that. And maybe we can get lucky and get some sulfur. Some blaze powder. There's some more blaze powder, but no sulfur. Oh, there's some. Okay, so that'll go in here. We'll craft one of those. and then it starts reacting. Oh, we already had 5. Okay. And that'll make 400,000 per thing. Actually, no, I think it makes a little bit more. Let me just see here. Yeah, it does make 400,000. And we have a lot of this. This is a pretty good way to make power. Like, it makes so much. And it just keeps going. And you also will get a buildup of some things. I think you get too much blaze powder, if I remember correctly. But yeah, that's a really good way to make power. You can see we have more cryotheum, but if it was reversed, we'd have more pyrotheum. So it's kind of unavoidable to have too much of something, but cryotheum is really useful for other stuff too. So you can use that for other stuff. And yeah, this is a good power setup. I designed it myself. There's probably a design like this out there, but I designed it myself on my server, so I'm pretty proud of that one. So now I think we've done all of these, and then we'll see the last one, which is kind of stupid. Let's say you got an auto farmer or something, like actual additions or farm. I think farming station by Ender.io or something like that. I think there might be a farm. I don't think there's a farmer from thermal expansion, but so you got your wheat. Alright, you got your daily harvest. You got a couple bits of wheat. You can already see where this is going. Boom, this man, he's just like, hey, take some emeralds. And then you get 6 emeralds from 2 stacks of wheat. You want a farmer because it's easiest to make, but you can, if you're getting a lot of other stuff, you can do that too. 6 emeralds, put them in there, and it'll make 200,000 RF per thing. So that's 1,200,000, I think. That's a lot. Just from 6 emeralds. And it's just going into there, which is empty. That's pretty self-explanatory. You just put it in there. 40 RF a tick. You can speed it up if you want. You can make it resonant. It'd go faster. Depends what you want. And yeah. So, I think that's going to do it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed, please comment down below and subscribe if you really enjoyed it, I guess. And I'll see you guys in the next one.